Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to Unity of London. Whether you are on Zoom as I am, or whether you are at 501 Nelson Street, or whether you are watching this at a later time, we welcome you to this Sunday service on Sunday, January 14th, 2024. So I'd like to remind anyone that is at 501 Nelson in person, if you could please check into Facebook, let people know that you are at Unity of London, and then please mute your phone or put it in airplane mode or whatever so that it doesn't interrupt the rest of our service should somebody be reaching out to you. And so at Unity of London, we have a vision. So if you would like to repeat that with me, a world powerfully transformed through the growing movement of shared spiritual awakening. And with our vision, we also have our mission, which you can repeat as well if you like. Co-creating with spirit to transform lives through shared spiritual awakening. And so what does that mean? What does that mean when we transform our lives through shared spiritual awakening? Well, it is that we recognize that we are all one and that we are a loving, inclusive, supportive community. It also means that we promote self-expression. And that is really letting our God lights shine, our highest and best shine for everyone to see and to recognize that in every person that we come across. We also can uphold our mission by living what we believe, the 5 principles. And Reverend Pat talked about these last week. God is, there is only one power, one present in the universe. God, the omnipotent. And I am part of that God being. And with that divine spirit, we co-create everything in our life. We communicate with that divine spirit within, outside of us, and all around by prayer and meditation. But it's not enough just to believe those 5 principles. We need to live those 5 principles as well. And of course, we always want to inspire people to make a positive difference in the world. And that can be something very, very small, like, smiling at a person who's maybe living on the street. That can make a difference in their life. Just whatever you can do to make a positive difference in the world. And of course, we also provide fellowship and education for spiritual seekers of all walks of life. And so that means that for every Sunday service, every course that we have, every Zoom meeting that we have, that we welcome everyone to come with us, to walk with us. Okay, so we have some special announcements this morning. So firstly, 2 very special announcements for people in our community. First of all, we'd like to thank Dawn Briglio, for all of her effort on bringing in all the Christmas decorations, setting up the tree, decorating it, taking all those decorations down, and then taking everything home. So thank you, Dawn. We know that that's a big job to be able to do that. And we appreciate the beauty of that Christmas tree and the time and the energy that you took to do all of that. So thank you very much. And we're also want to thank today Chris and Lorraine, and also George and Lindsay. They got together and they cleaned out the storage unit out by the fellowship room. And I don't know, for those of you who have ever been in that storage unit, sometimes it is really difficult to find stuff, and it's just, people just put stuff in there and it's not organized. So Lorraine tells me now that it looks absolutely wonderful. And we know that when we're doing acts of service like that, when we start off doing something like cleaning or sorting or whatever we're doing, the great thing I always say about it is it's always so wonderful when we're finished because we can really admire our work and it just makes it easier for everybody. So thanks very much, Chris and Lorraine, George and Lindsay. Okay, so now this is the summary of our winter collection deliveries that Unity of London made to ARC Aid, 34 scarves, 33 hats, 13 pairs of mitts or gloves, 112 pairs of socks, a sweater, and a package of 10 hand warmers. So we know that that is going to make a huge difference for people who may be out in the street that may not have a regular place home to go to. So we're grateful for everyone who showed up and donated towards those clothing items for the ARC Aid. And we're also grateful for the huge donations that were made on our behalf to the food bank, 115 pounds of food, diapers, and formulas. So well done, everyone. Way to go. Okay, so after the Sunday service, our president, Lorraine, who's also, I guess, our incumbent photographer, will be taking pictures for our membership directory. And so she informs me that everything is set up at the front of the sanctuary. So if you'd like to come and have your pictures taken for the directory, you can come and do that after the service. Or if you just want your pictures taken, but you don't want to be in the directory, that is welcome, that is fine as well. Lorraine will be happy to take your picture for you. So sometimes it's really nice to have a good picture for a variety of different things. Send out to your families, just have yourself. Thanks, Lorraine, for that. All right, so here we go. Next Sunday, January the 21st from 12 to 2, we're going to have the Pizza and Principles class. So now the Principles and Pizzas class is for people who may be new to Unity, who just want to know a bit more about the Unity movement, when it started, where it was involved, really what it means. And so Pauline is going to be leading this class. So for those of you who may be new at Unity of London, you are certainly welcome to come and take that class. And for those of you who may have been members for a long, long time, you as well are welcome to just renew that information. So pre-registration is necessary so that we know how many booklets to make up and how much pizza to order. And so there's a sign-up sheet at the back of the sanctuary, or you can email Pauline at beamazinglyu@gmail.com. Now, the one thing is to become a member of Unity of London, you must take the Pizza and Principles class. That is a requirement. So for you to vote on important items about your community, your Unity community, the Pizza and Principle class is required. So please come out and take it. It's always really an interesting course. And Pauline, of course, does a wonderful job. Okay, there's also an upcoming book study, which is Tuesdays at 9:30 a.m. on Zoom. So you can use the Sunday service Zoom link, which gets mailed out to you or emailed out to you every week. And so we're going to be studying the book Prayer Works. So as a prayer chaplain for a long, long time, I certainly believe that strongly. And the start date is going to be Tuesday, January 30th at 9:30 again. All right, so pray with a prayer chaplain. So today, Sylvia Vanderhook, she will be available for one-on-one prayer at 501 Nelson Street. So she will be back by the prayer room. And please remember that all prayers are always held in 100% confidence. So if there's anything that you are grateful for or anything that is weighing on your heart, that you would like prayer for, please come and see Sylvia. She does a wonderful prayer. And of course, if you are interested in prayer, please message me on chat, and I will pray with you after the service as well. Oh my goodness, and today is Celebration Sunday, so I know that there's lots of reasons to celebrate, so just think in your brain, what am I grateful for today? And at the end of the service, we'll call on people on Zoom or at 501 Nelson to just let us know what they are grateful for, what they're celebrating. So unity was founded on prayer. So over 130 years, Silent Unity was formed so that people could send in their prayer requests. And at the very beginning, Myrtle Fillmore, she used to reply to those prayer requests in letters. So now we have people, volunteers who 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, work at Silent Unity, are in service at Silent Unity, to listen to people and to pray with them one-on-one. So for any reason, if you want prayer, you can call 1-800-NOW-PRAY. And at Unity of London, there is a prayer box at the front of the sanctuary where you can write down the first name of the person that you would like to hold in prayer. And you don't have to write down what the prayer request is for, just the name of the person is enough. And those names will be gathered and distributed to the prayer chaplains and prayer angels, where we will hold those people in prayer. I set them those names beside my desk here, where I can pray over them when we are praying throughout the week and when I am praying in my own private time. So please do that if you like. And so, speaking of prayer, we will go into prayer now. And so if you just like to relax into your chair and close your eyes if you like, just to be comfortable, just maybe breathe in and set aside all the busyness of the day this morning. And just let's recall that beautiful song that we just heard. How can I serve today, sweet Spirit? Where you lead, I will follow. And so as we come together this morning, we are grateful for the opportunity to spend this time with our Unity community. We bless everyone attending all spiritual gatherings, knowing that there are many paths to the one God. We bless all those watching online and all those at home who are using this day to take care of themselves or their families. Maybe they are being of service. We pray for all who may be feeling anxious and uncertain concerning their health and safety, affirming, we are children of God and we do not inherit illness. We lift up anyone who is experiencing any challenges, trusting that the highest and best is unfolding for them, and that the love of the divine Spirit is surrounding them right now. We take this opportunity to hold anyone that you wish in blessings and prayer, and to speak their names quietly into this space. May we be grateful for all the blessings that we have, including the roofs over our head, the heat and light in our homes to keep us warm and secure in these wintry days. And may we be of service to those who may be less fortunate in whatever way that we can. So this morning we bless our fellow Unity churches, Unity Church of Agape in Scarborough and Silent Unity. And so as we move forth in this day, may we move forth with an attitude of being of service however and whenever we can. And so we are grateful knowing that Divine Spirit is always present and always leading us. And so it is, and so we let it be. Amen. And so this morning, I welcome Don Briglio for the reading of the daily word and for the introduction of our speaker.
How to get that in the right place. I'm so short. Today's daily word is serve. I bring God's love into the world through service. I don't need special skills to be of service. I have willing hands and an open heart, channels of God's love to be directed wherever they are needed most. This impulse to serve is my compassionate nature seeking expression. I respond to the needs around me by doing what I can to help. I do not think of reward or recognition. Just being of service fills my heart. Serving is a wonderful way to feel close to God. My loving heart is open, my hands are busy, and my life feels purposeful when I am doing what I can to brighten one person's life or to make the world a better place. I feel God's presence strongly as I serve and share the love and care of the divine. For I was hungry, and you gave me food. I was thirsty, and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger, and you welcomed me. So it says in Matthew 25, verse 35. Well, Tony is a lifelong student and teacher of spirituality, metaphysics, and abundance manifestation, an experienced mentor, speaker, and trainer, and the author of Using the Law of Attraction. Tony has been an active member of Unity of London since 2012 and is a past president of our board of directors. With his message, where are we going? Please join me in welcoming our Tony Orvidas.
Thank you, Don, and good morning, Unity of London. As you know, the title of my speech is Where Are We Going? The we in that title, by the way, is the royal we, meaning me, meaning you. So here we are asking ourselves the big question, where am I going after I die? I'll attempt to answer that question for you, and how successful I may be is yet to be determined. As usual, please keep an open mind and hang on to your sense of humor. Now, the subject matter for today's message is rather timely for me, given that my second mother, my Aunt Sophie, made her transition just a couple of days ago. Her funeral's on Tuesday, just a few days shy of her 105th birthday. Now, I picked the title for today's message from a chapter in the book, Perennial Wisdom for the Spiritually Independent by Rami Shapiro, commonly known as Rabbi Rami. The book is subtitled Spiritual Wisdom for the Millions of Americans, I guess we could include Canadians, who are moving away from traditional houses of worship in their quest for the sacred. Sounds a little bit like some of us here at Unity, doesn't it? Now, this morning we'll talk about what happens when and after someone meets the Grim Reaper. Passes over, kicks the bucket, bites the dust, croaks, transitions, checks out, buys the farm, gives up the ghost, deceases, pegs out, snuffs it, dead ends, ceases to exist, conks out, flatlines, expires, departs, demises, pops off, passes on, fades out, or enters the big sleep. So there's a lot of synonyms for dying, aren't there? And when someone does die, where does her essence, her soul, if it exists, really go? To heaven or hell, the void, the happy hunting ground, nirvana, maybe the chronosynclastic infundibulum, Valhalla, the promised land, the afterlife, the hereafter, or nothingness. Well, I was raised to believe that I had a soul, and that this soul, on my death, would go to heaven for eternity, unless I was a bit of a sinner, basically venial sins, in which case I would go to purgatory for a while until I atoned for my sins. I would then meet St. Peter at the pearly gates and be admitted to heaven, where I would wear a white robe and along with other saints sit on a cloud, sing God's praises, and play my harp forever and ever. On the other hand, if I died in sin, mortal sin that is, I would be banished to hell, where there would be fire and brimstone and gnashing of teeth and all that awful stuff for eternity. I mean, what would you choose, eh? The metaphysical meaning of death, as stated by Truth Unity, is physical dissolution of the body, the outer symbol of mental negation or spiritual inertia. As commonly interpreted, death is the absence of life in the body. According to Dr. Joan Borisenko, in her book Pocket Full of Miracles, death fascinates us in the abstract and repels us in the particular. Awareness of death necessarily puts us face to face with our beliefs about our own soul, she says. Now, this question of what happens after death is one of the most profound and debated mysteries, and it largely depends on one's religious, spiritual, or philosophical beliefs. Different cultures and belief systems offer various perceptions and perspectives on the afterlife. In Christianity, followers believe in an afterlife where the soul goes either to heaven or hell, based on their faith and actions during their lifetime. We already talked about that a little bit. In Islam, there is a belief in an afterlife where an individual is judged and sent either to paradise, Jannah, or to hell, Jahannam. Hinduism and Buddhism subscribe to the idea of reincarnation, where the soul is born again into a new body based on karma from previous lives. In Judaism, isn't a single accepted view about our afterlife, as interpretations can vary very, very much among different Jewish denominations. New Thought Unity, as a movement, doesn't have a strict and uniform doctrine on the afterlife. However, Charles Fillmore, its co-founder, believed in the eternal nature of the soul, emphasizing that life continues beyond the physical body. The soul, in his view, is on an eternal journey of spiritual evolution. In Keep a True Lent, he writes, "How long it will take to transform the mortal into the immortal, no man can tell. We do know, however, that once the mind receives the Christ quickening, it will continue to grow in grace, incarnation after incarnation, until the rejuvenating life has overcome death and reincarnation is no longer necessary." So, when man loses his body by death, he goes on to say, the law of expression works within him to re-embodiment, and he takes advantage of the Adam method of generation to regain a body. Divine mercy permits this process in order that man may have further opportunity to demonstrate Christ life. Eric Butterworth was a famous Unity teacher. He wrote, "The physical body is a marvelously created and sustained expression of life, truly the temple of the living God. However, it is not the center of your life. It simply means it's an outward expression. If the body is rendered unfit for further service, if it succumbs to the race belief of sickness, age, or deterioration, and is thereby laid aside, this in no way means that life for you has ended. It simply means that you, as a living soul, will move from one room into another in the Father's house, which Jesus assures us has many rooms." Emily Cady, another great New Thought writer, tells us, "When we realize that life is continuous and that death is simply being born out of this hampered sphere into a grander, fuller, freer life, just as surely was our physical birth out of a limited environment, which could no longer hold us because we had outgrown it, we shall then see that to mourn inordinately for a departed one, simply because it means the pain of separation for ourselves, is only a manifestation of our own selfishness. She continues, while one cannot help a feeling of great loneliness, everyone can, if he will, even amidst his tears, learn to rejoice at the unspeakably good fortune that has come to our beloved. Dying is but laying off the outer and coarser covering, so to speak, of the real self, as one would lay off an outer garment for which he had no further use. He, the real man, does not change. But let's look now at another perspective on the afterlife. According to the aforementioned Rabbi Rami, the two basic answers to the question of where you're going when you die are nowhere and somewhere. What do you believe? Well, if you think you're a nobody and you came from nowhere, then you may think there's nowhere to go. If you think that you came from somewhere other than here, then your answer is that you're going somewhere other than here as well. Rami further tells us that he is saddened when a person says, I'm somebody who came from somewhere, who is going somewhere, and the me that was and will be is somehow the recognizable me. The notion that the ego transcends the body seems narcissistic to him. He writes, I understand why you might not like the idea that the you cherish comes to an end, but I cannot shake the conviction that this is indeed what happens. The answer isn't to cling to the ego all the more strongly, but to begin to loosen our grasp and see if there's something more to us than meets the eye. The rabbi likes to explore this non-ego concept with children, specifically 5th and 6th graders. Now, I am sometimes reminded that I'm rather immature in my own way, and so this exploration with elementary school students should be easier for me to understand than other more intellectual explanations, right? And possibly for you as well. So here's what Rabbi Rami says he does. I hand each child a foot-long strand of rope. And then I ask them to tie a knot in that piece of rope. We then discuss the relationship between the knot and the rope. The knot is simply the rope in a specific form. It is in no way other than or different from the rope. I then ask them to tie a second knot. Comparing the two knots, it is clear that each knot has its own uniqueness, its own place on the rope, its own degree of tightness, its own shape. Yet, both knots are not other than the single strand of rope. I then ask them to name the knots, he writes. One knot is called me and represents the child who holds that particular piece of rope. The second knot is named after someone they love who has died, a grandparent or maybe a pet, or if the death has not yet touched the child's life, someone who's considerably older who will likely die much sooner than the child. I then ask them to untie the second knot. The discussion then turns to the impact that the missing knot has on the rope. Sure, the rope appears a bit longer, but it really isn't any different than it was. There is no less rope with knots and no more rope without the knots. The amount of rope is constant, even if its length seems to change as we add or remove knots. So, knotting and unknotting the rope doesn't change the nature of the rope. It isn't anything other than rope, regardless of the number of knots that it has. When that is clear, Rami asks them where the knot goes when it is untied. Is the rope that was once the knot gone? How can it be that the rope is still there when the knot is not? Now, you can, I expect, see where this investigation is leading, he tells us. The rope is constant, the knots come and go. To the extent to which you identify as a knot or with a knot, the untying of that knot is experienced as a loss. And that loss is expressed as grief. Well, what's really lost? Only the form is lost. The rope itself is still present. He goes on to say, I then explain that this is a metaphor for birth and death, and for the relationship between ourselves, one another, and God. The rope is God, reality itself. The knots are people, animals, things, indeed, everything that composes the world, both seen and unseen. Birth is the tying of knots, and death, the untying of knots. The rope, reality itself, remains unchanged. You are a knot on the rope that is God. So, is my grandma gone or not? One little girl asked him when he shared the exercise at a synagogue Sunday school. Both, he told her. The knot was the rope, and the rope was the knot. So grandma was both knot and rope. And so while the grandma knot is gone, the grandma rope is still there. It's the perennial wisdom notion of non-reality. We are all knots on a single rope. When you die, you don't go anywhere because there's nowhere to go. All there is rope. Now, what do you think of that? Do you feel comfortable with the concept of giving up your ego when you die, giving up your identity and uniqueness to become part of a whole? Well, I must admit, I really don't feel all that comfortable with that. But let's move on. According to Mike Dooley, in his book, The Top 10 Things Dead People Want to Tell You, the number one thing is that no one ever dies. Not ever. Not anyone, including you. You are going to live forever, gallivanting through realities and dimensions unimaginable, carried onward by love, all misdeeds forgiven, infinite possibilities on deck, surrounded by friends and laughter, unicorns and rainbows, celebrated as the god or goddess that you are. Mike writes that many of the newly dead found it hard to believe that they died at first, gazing upon their own funerals, lingering around their old stomping grounds, stunned and amazed as they gestured and shouted to the friends left behind. There's an abrupt disconnect, of course, that comes from leaving behind all things, time, space, and learning to maneuver in the unseen. The nature of this transition depends entirely on the beliefs of the dearly departed at the time of transition, because their beliefs and thoughts carry over into their new environs. Things are arranged to match the expectations of the new arrivals, often in a twinkling of an eye. Everything is based upon the deceased's anticipated and believed in scenarios. That's why often reports that people make in death or after death experiences are so different. Well, eventually, however, everything starts to make sense. It comes together like the most amazing artistic creation. The deceased is inspired to know that he can try again, make amends, and move forward with and into even greater love. Past lives come into view, along with the friends, loves, and lessons they contained. The dead are delighted to find that not only are they immortal, but they are approved, appreciated, forgiven, adored, just exactly as they are. Neat, huh? In another one of his books, The Beginner's Guide to the Universe, Mike writes that you should not fear that at the end of your life you will somehow disappear back into God, the way a cube of sugar dissolves into a hot drink, or even now you live your life inside of God, while at the same time maintaining your own radiant essence and glorious identity. Quite different from Rabbi Rami's point of view, eh? Mike goes on to tell us about his niece, who at a young age, upon learning of death and giving it some thought, suddenly blurted out to her mother, "Mommy, I know what happens when we die." "What, honey?" her mother answered. "What happens when we die?" "Well, we go back to normal," she responded, with delight. And what does normal mean? It is our existence prior to entering the illusions of time and space. As the God particles, we are in pure radiance and light. Walt Whitman, in his very interesting book called Leaves of Grass, asks, "What do you think has become of the young and old men? And what do you think has become of the women and children? They are alive and well somewhere. The smallest sprout shows there's really no death. And if there was, it led forward life and does not wait at the end to arrest it and ceased the moment life appeared. All goes onward and outward, and nothing collapses. And to die is different from what anyone supposed, and luckier. Has anyone supposed it lucky to be born? I hasten to inform him or her it is just as lucky to die, and I know it. I pass death with the dying, and birth with the new washed babe. I am the mate and companion of people, all just as immortal and fathomless as myself. They do not know how immortal, but I know. And finally, in the fourth book of The Way of Mastery, The Way of the Servant by Jan, Yeshua, or Jesus, tells us that he who has learned that death is unreal gladly releases the symbols of death, even with the illusions of time, down to the least jot and tittle. So, in summary, where do we go when we die? Does the real me die? Well, to be honest, I don't really know for sure. Ultimately, the answer to this question is very deeply personal and varies based on your personal beliefs. It's a topic that has intrigued and puzzled humanity for centuries, and there is no universally accepted answer. Now, I personally believe, like Mike Dooley, that death is not the end, that we, our spirits or souls, are returned to the source upon death, go through a life review, plan out our future existence, and then eventually reincarnate. But who am I to say? I could be wrong, right? And my wife will tell you I'm often wrong. So, with that inconclusive observation, my friends, let's go into meditation. The guided portion is based on a composition by ChatGPT. It's a rather long one, by the way. Sit comfortably and settle in. Close your eyes. Relax your body, calm your mind, focus on your breath. Allow your inhales and exhales to become steady and natural. Allow tension to release with each exhale. Approach this meditation with an open mind. Contemplate the impermanence of physical life. Recognize that death, it's a natural part of the life cycle. Consider the transient nature of everything, including your thoughts, emotions, and physical sensations. Reflect on your own mortality. Consider that life is finite and that one day you will face the end of your physical existence. Allow any emotions that arise to be observed without judgment. Acknowledge the preciousness of life and the opportunities it presents. recognize that the awareness of death can bring a sense of urgency to live authentically and with purpose. Consider how you want to spend your time and energy in light of this awareness. Extend your reflections to others, acknowledging their mortality as well. Cultivate compassion for yourself and others, recognizing that shared human experience of physical impermanence. Consider the various perspectives on the afterlife, acknowledging the diversity of human beliefs. Contemplate your own beliefs or the belief you were raised with regarding the afterlife. Consider how these beliefs have shaped your understanding of existence beyond this physical life. Envision what the afterlife might look like based on your beliefs or the concepts that we've explored today. Use your imagination to create a mental image of a peaceful and harmonious existence. Recognize and accept any feelings of hope, fear, curiosity, peace. Now spend a couple of minutes contemplating how your beliefs about the afterlife influence the way you live your life. Consider how the concept of an afterlife shapes your understanding of purpose and meaning. Gradually come back to your world of earthly delights. Express gratitude for the present moment and for the opportunity to explore these profound questions about your existence after death. Be secure in the knowledge that all is as it should be, as you co-created it. And so it is. Amen.
Mhm. So Tony, we'd like to thank you very much for that wonderful talk today. As always, it's just very, very interesting, different perspectives. And as you mentioned, I mean, really what it comes down to is what we believe in our own lives, that none of us know what's going to happen after we take our last breath. And so it is certainly something to consider. And I'm sure that I, as well as the rest of the Unity community, hold you in our prayers and bless you and your family as you go through this time period with the loss of your aunt, who obviously lived a very long and we're quite certain very prosperous and happy and healthy and beneficial life. So thank you very much, Tony.
silence I can feel the love. In the silence I can rise above. In the silence I can hear the voice. In the silence I am home. In the silence I can feel the love. In the silence I can rise above. In the silence I can hear the voice. In the silence I am home. In the silence I can feel the love. In the silence I can rise above. In the silence I can hear the voice. In the silence I am home. I am home. I am home. I am home.
And so we are grateful for all of the people in our Unity community who are of service, either through their time, talent, or their treasures. And so as our participants, our helpers, collect today's offering, we also remind people that the donations can be made many different ways to Unity of London: by check, credit card, debit, or using the Tidely site, or by e-transfer. So however you support Unity of London, we are grateful for that. We are very grateful, knowing that those funds are used to support this community in the best way that they can be, that they are used wisely. Okay, and so thank you very much, ladies, for collecting the offering. And so if you'd like to repeat with me today's prosperity blessing: divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And so it is. And so we repeat our prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds me. I am the light. The love of God enfolds me. I am the love. The power of God protects me. I am the power. The presence of God watches over me. I am the presence. Wherever I am, God is, whether I'm dead or alive, and all is well. Yay, God. And so now we'll sing our peace song. So thank you very much, everybody. So this is Celebration Sunday. And so for anyone that would like to come to the front and just tell us what you are celebrating today, whether it's your birthday or whether it is a wonderful thing that has happened in your life, whatever you are celebrating. So it looks like we have Lindsay coming up. Welcome, Lindsay.